Hello and welcome to All Things Foster, a place for coffee, connection, and community. Thanks for joining us today, and thank you to our episode sponsor, Falcon Ridge IT, your trusted partner for tech solutions that actually make your life easier. Whether you're a small business, nonprofit, or just tired of tech headaches, Falcon Ridge IT offers personalized IT support, cybersecurity, cloud services, and more. What we love about them is they're not just about fixing problems, they're about building real relationships and helping you grow with confidence. Here at POCN, we know how important it is to have dependable support behind the scenes, and Falcon Ridge IT delivers just like that. You can learn more at falconridgeit.com and see how they can help you stay secure, connected, and focused on what matters most. Big thanks to Falcon Ridge IT for supporting the work we do and helping us care for foster families across the Panhandle. And actually, Ashley with Falcon Ridge was here yesterday, got me set up with a desk phone. I've been just working off my cell phone and stuff like that. They're actually foster and adoptive families themselves, and so great folks. If you need some IT support, they will definitely help you out. And so we've got Shelby Graham on the podcast with us today. Thanks for coming on, Shelby.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, I'm excited to have you kind of share. You've got a really kind of unique background, and so I want to dig into that. And so thank you so much for coming on. The title of today's episode is Fostering Through Every Season, Shelby Graham's Journey of Compassion and Commitment. And so Shelby, tell us just a 10,000-foot view about you. So you're teaching now, right?
Yes, I teach kindergarten right now. This is
Okay.
my third year.
All right.
Before that, I was an investigator at CPS for about a year. I did some local work in our county government before that. And then I also was a case manager at A World for Children.
Right.
My degree is in social work.
Okay.
And so that's kind of my base knowledge.
Yeah. So that, which I mean, and A World for Children is an amazing agency. If you don't know, guys, there are different agencies that license foster homes, monitor the homes, make sure everything's doing okay, and A World for Children is one of those. And I just absolutely love all the folks that are there at that agency. So what, you got your degree in social work. So what kind of brought you, what drew you to that way back when you were going to school?
Honestly, whenever I was a young girl, I think around the age of 12, I truly felt like God had called me to like the mission field of some sort. And I knew in my heart that it had to do with like adoption or something similar. I just didn't know that had an actual job title.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I graduated high school and kind of went to junior college, I figured out like what social work was. And I was like, yeah, that's totally up my alley. That's exactly what I want to do.
So did you have any like personal experience, like somebody in school or something that was adopted, or it just
No.
kind of, God just kind of put it on your heart?
Yeah, I had never known anybody who was adopted. I don't have anybody in my family who's adopted. I didn't know anybody who had been in foster care who had
Right.
fostered.
Okay.
It truly was. I would tell people all the time, like, I'm going to adopt a kid from every country. I'm going to have a bunch of adopted kids.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's awesome. That is so cool. So you also, though, you got licensed as a foster home too, right?
I did, yes. When I was working at A World for Children, I started and I told myself, okay, I'm going to give myself a year to get adjusted into my job, and then I'm going to get myself licensed.
Right.
And so that's what I did. At the year mark, I think I started the licensing process. I was single at the time, and so I got licensed pretty quickly.
Wow. It was. Were you able to be licensed under A World for Children? Or did you have to
I
go somewhere else?
wasn't. No, not at the time. I had to get licensed through Upbring,
Okay.
and I had a great experience there. But then after I left A World for Children, I got relicensed over at A World for Children.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that first placement. You know, you've been on the other side, working in the office, supporting these families, and then you go and get licensed, and then you get your first kiddo, and
Yeah.
you're single at this point, right?
I lived in a one-bedroom apartment.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And did you get, what was it, a boy, a girl?
I got a little boy who, when they had called me about him, they had told me he was 7 months old,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a sibling, a sister who they were going to have to place somewhere else because I was
Mm.
only open for one at the time.
Right. Yeah.
He got there, and he was actually 9 months old. Found out a
Yeah.
couple days later.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was really as often as I had done placements for my foster families,
Mm-hmm.
it was interesting to be on that other side because
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that somebody came in at midnight, dropped this baby off, had a couple signed paperwork, and then just left me with this kid.
Yeah. And then you've got this kid, like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it wound up being a really cool experience because then I just felt like God had placed it on my heart for me to take his sister as well. And
Okay.
so my apartment complex was great, and they worked with me to get me into a two-bedroom
Mm.
apartment. And
Mm-hmm.
so then she came and lived with us, and I had them for just a few months.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
And so, how did that? I mean, being on both sides, right? Being the person that places and then the person receiving the placement. What's that? I mean, kind of talk us through that dynamic. I mean, you know, it's got to be. I having only been on the receiving end. I mean, I can't. It's just crazy to me to be on both sides.
It was really, I think it allowed me to have more like compassion and
Hmm.
more patience, and not that
Yeah.
I didn't have that in the first place, but it definitely just gave me a different outlook whenever I would go and do placements.
Yeah.
And knowing, okay, there's all these hoops that foster parents have to jump through in
Right.
order to get childcare or get babysitters or you know, just in your own home, like locking
Mm.
your medications up. There's all
Yeah.
these hoops that they have to jump through. And if they are willing to do that, that shows their dedication to these
Yeah.
kids for the most part.
Yeah.
And so I think it just gave me even more of an appreciation for the families that I was working with.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do. I have had the experience where you've got a caseworker, and they really don't get it, so to speak. You
Oh
know.
gosh, I've heard so
Yeah.
many times they say, I don't know how you do it. I could never do it. And I'm like,
Right.
okay,
It's so
that's not what you
tiring.
should say, but okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So you said you had them for a couple of months, right, or a few months, the
Yes.
first kiddos,
Yes.
and then you took more. You ended up with more kids than that, right?
I did, yes. So they were my first two, and in the span of like a year, I had 5 placements total. And
Wow.
so the youngest I had was 4 days old, the oldest I had was 12 years old. And so it was
Wow.
kind of just all in that range. At one point, we thought I was gonna get those first 2 placements I had. I
Mm.
thought I was gonna get them back.
Right.
Because their relative placement was not working out.
Mm.
And so at that time, if I had gotten them back, I'd had 4 at one
Yeah.
time, and I was
Single.
I was up for the challenge, but I
Yeah.
I knew also that I was a little bit crazy for putting myself up for it. But
Yeah. But but when
it wound up
when you're
working out okay.
yeah, but when you're in it and you just see these babies and they just need someone safe. They just need someone to love them for however long it is, right? I mean, it's
Absolutely.
just they just need somewhere safe to be until they can get to where they're gonna be like forever.
Yes.
So you're now married. So what was that conversation like with your husband's name's Maverick, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's this conversation with Maverick? I mean, did you had the kids while you were dating him and stuff? I mean, was that always in the picture?
So I didn't have any kids whenever we met and started
Hmm.
dating. I had just had my last little one leave, and I was
Hmm.
like, decided I was going to take a break and really take
Hmm.
some time to take care of myself for a little bit.
Sure.
And I, had every intention of going back probably within the next few months, but then I met him,
Yeah.
and he thinks it's hilarious to tell people that it was like our second date, I just flat out said, like, listen, I'm a foster parent and I plan on continuing to foster. So if you're not interested in that, then we can just go our separate ways now. It's not a big deal.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he was
Let's not
like,
get too
no,
deep
that's
in.
fine. Yeah. He was like, no, that's fine. I can do that. And he didn't like kids. He had never been around kids.
Mm.
He had not even ever considered fostering or thought
Right.
about any of that. So,
Yeah.
but he was dedicated.
That's cool. So you had the seed was planted at the very beginning. Like, if you want to be part of my life, this is part of our life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. And so you get married and you continue to foster.
Yes, so we got married in February, right before COVID hit, and we got a call from my aunt, and she thought that there was a possibility that we might have to take my cousin's children from a different state, and so we decided, you know what, just in case, we're going to go ahead and just get licensed together,
Right.
and so that's
Yeah.
what we did. We
Yeah.
got licensed pretty quickly, and we wound up not having to take my cousin's kids. But then we were like, well, we're licensed. Like,
May
we
as
might
well.
as well.
Yeah.
So then we got a little girl who was almost 2, and we had her for 10 months.
Yeah. And so what was that? I mean, was there like unique challenges, as opposed to, was it easier as opposed to like doing it yourself and now you've got him there to help and stuff like that?
Yeah, I can remember having a very like blunt conversation with God right after my last little one had left before I met Maverick, and I had said, "Man, this is so hard. I don't know that I can do this by myself again."
Yeah.
And so then I met Maverick, and then it was different because I felt like he was still, he had never been around kids and not parented before, whereas I had lots of experience with it compared to him. And so he just dove right in and he gave his very best, and it turned out to be the coolest thing to watch him figure out how to love a child that wasn't his and to just truly give all of himself to it.
Yeah. So let's talk about that while we're on the subject, because so many people say, I don't know how you do that, because if I brought them into my home, I wouldn't be able to let them go. If I really loved them the way that you should, then you wouldn't be able to let them go. I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a conversation that Maverick and I have had regularly because we hear it all the time. And it is heartbreaking and can be absolutely devastating for a child to leave your home. We had her for 10 months in our most recent placement. We had him for 8 months, and we are still brokenhearted. And we are still struggling with the grief of those kids leaving. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's not about Maverick. It's about the kid. And so we can pour every single ounce of ourself into loving these kids and making sure that they are safe and taken care of, because we can process our feelings. We can say goodbye and we can handle that. It's hard, but we can do it.
Yeah.
But they don't get a choice in this situation. And so if we can do whatever we can to make it best for them, easiest for them, why would we not?
Yeah.
So to say I couldn't do it, to me that's a very selfish comment, because you're saying like I couldn't give enough of myself to somebody and sacrifice that part for the better of somebody else.
Yeah. So I kind of put it like this. Somebody kind of reframed it for me one time, and it's a little bit harsh. Okay, it is. But the way it was put to me was you would love them too much to actually love them, right?
Yeah, that is exactly right. That is yeah, that is 100% it.
I mean, I 100% know that there are foster parents out there. It's a job, and they don't care about the kids. I know that they are.
Yeah.
I know that exists somewhere.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But as long as I've been doing this, I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, y- I, I see families broken. My family and so many other families that pour their heart and soul into this child for 6 months, a year, sometimes 2 and 3 years, and then see them go somewhere, whether it's a good thing or not, you still have to let them go, which is extremely painful because you've done everything for this kid for that whole period of time, and now they're leaving, which is hard. And
Yes.
and let's just be honest, we measure recidivism in prison, right? How likely is it for a child or an adult once they've been to prison? There's a high probability that they go back into prison, right?
Yeah.
And we measure the same thing in foster care. And the statistics that I got, the most recent ones off of the state's website, is that 45% of kids that come into care go back to biofamily within 5 years. Half of them are going to be back in care.
Absolutely.
And
I had
and
that
that
experience whenever I was doing investigations. My very first removal was from a family who had already been reunified once before. And I can't say that they weren't doing their very best because I think that they were,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, they weren't safe. And
yeah,
it was that pattern.
yeah. And so as on the fostering side of things, we do get brokenhearted. And we this series that just ended last week, it's a 5-part series on trauma, and episode 4, if you didn't listen to them, go back and listen to them. But episode 4 is all about vicarious trauma, secondary trauma. And because you bring them in, you love them totally and completely, and do everything you can for them, get them safe, get them stable, and then they go back, and that's traumatic. But we're also then experiencing vicariously through them the effects of the trauma that they've had, right?
Right.
And so, and you talked about taking that break because, you know, you do need to take some time to pause and heal and grieve before you're ready to step back into it, because we're loving the kids as much as we possibly can for however long that is, and then being heartbroken when they leave. Right?
Yes.
That's just the reality of it. I mean,
Absolutely.
so yes, you you can love them so much and be heartbroken that they leave, but still continue doing it.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of times it's not just the kids. For me personally, I felt that it was part of my role was to support the families as best as I could and to be encouraging if I was given the opportunity. And so many times, you put yourself out there and send things like pictures and gifts that the kids wanted to get for him or whatever it is, and you pray for them and you really hope that they will get it together for these babies.
Right.
And then it's hard not to get your feelings hurt too whenever something happens and they don't get it together or
Yeah.
they break that kid's heart
Yeah.
another time, and it's hard not to get mad
Yeah.
because you pour so much into the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we can talk all day about the fact that people think, oh, they're just doing it for the money.
Right.
Which I'm just saying, if you're doing it for the quote unquote money, you're losing money because what the state gives you isn't nearly enough to fully provide for these kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, my husband always said, "Oh, that's a joke. You've got jokes," because she spends way more money on buying them clothes and toys and all the
Yeah,
things and
right.
taking them here and there. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
we're living our best lives. It's fine.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, I don't know how much people think the state are paying for these kids, but I mean, we ain't getting rich off of it. I'm telling
No,
you that.
no.
It just blows my mind. So let's talk about you had mentioned that you are open to adopting any of these kiddos should the need have arisen.
Yeah, so there were a couple of different times that we, had our two longest term placements. We really thought at certain points in their case that they were not going to get to go home or go to a relative. And so my husband and I were very much like, absolutely, we would be happy to adopt and keep these babies for, forever, if that would be allowed. And then it didn't happen. One of them, we got to see a beautiful reunification, and it is amazing to see how well they're doing now, and we get to keep a somewhat distant relationship with them. But we are so proud of them, and really and truly, like it was what's best for her was to be with her biological family. Our last little one, he was with us for 8 months, and for some reason that one just was a little bit different too, and he wound up moving up north, and being with a family who adopted one of his siblings. And we kind of got the runaround half the time from St. Francis about what actually was going to happen. And so even though they had mentioned it before that there was potential that he could go there, it kind of felt like out of nowhere. And so it was really, really hard. We still have a relationship with him though as well.
That's good.
And the relationship that we've built with his family has been, honestly, it's been amazing.
Good.
And we love them, and we love, our little one's brother, and we send them toys and gifts and all the obnoxious goodies that we can think of. And, we plan to go see them later this year. And so it's the relationship that we wanted to have with these kids, and the relationship that we prayed to be able to have with them. It didn't work out the way we wanted it to, but the relationship it's still there. We still get to have a relationship. It's just different than what we hoped it would be.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're putting yourself out there to the possibility of adopting these kiddos, preparing your heart for it, and then they end up going somewhere else, which is painful. I mean, it's heartbreaking. I mean, you sit there and you think, okay, I'm going to adopt these babies, and then they go, and even if it's with a sibling or with family and things like that, it's still hard. I mean, it's still heartbreaking when you look at this child and you think, he's going to be here forever, she's going to be here forever, and then something happens, and we all. I mean, I can't make the generalization. Most of the foster families out there want what's best for the child. I mean, I just don't know families that are like, I don't really care. I mean, why, you're not doing this if that's really your attitude, right?
Right.
And so we do want what's best for the child, and sometimes that's just friggin' hard. It's just heartbreaking.
It is. And I'm so lucky. I
Yes.
think because of my experience in the different areas of the foster care world, I think that I have been able to have kind of a different way of thinking and processing and handling the situation. And my husband doesn't have that same thinking. And so he, has had to handle this in a totally different way than I did. And so, he's like, why are you not more upset? And I'm like, I am upset, but this is how I process it. But I also, in my head, every time I thought, I would love to be his mom forever, it would be such an honor. But then I would think, but there's a possibility that might not happen.
Yeah.
So it just was, I don't know. We definitely process things totally different, but.
Well, and with like I say, with your background, being inside the system, you have a really unique perspective that most of us out here that are foster and adoptive parent, we don't have a clue. We don't see the other side. We see our side, and you have this unique situation where you see it from the foster parent's perspective, you see it from the agency's perspective, and then having the experience also working with CPS and doing the investigations, which had to have been like that's got to be so hard.
I remember I always said when I worked at a World for Children, there's no way you could ever pay me enough to go work for CPS. That would be like selling my soul to the devil. And I
Hmm.
can remember saying that so many times. And
Hmm.
then I got the opportunity, and it just felt like it was kind of a part of the plan for me. And
Hmm.
honestly, I loved working there and I loved doing that job. And it wasn't, I didn't obviously love the removals, and I did not enjoy the hard stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact that there were so many families that they just needed help with
Yeah.
finding resources, or they
Yeah.
just needed somebody who cared to say, hey, like, you can do this,
Yeah.
you know, pick up your bootstraps and let's get busy.
Yeah.
It was cool to be able to see families be successful and just
Mm.
need a little bit of help. And so
Sure.
there were some great things. The removals were really hard. And it definitely gave me like I said, a different perspective for the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's the on the other side, when kiddos are having to be removed, there's a sentiment among a lot of the families on the other side. I'll speak from personal. My biological mom, we were removed and put back and removed and put back and removed and put back and all these things. But when it was finally done, as an adult, she was like, those foster care workers, they just take kids because they get a bonus every time they put one in care. I was like, you are outside your mind. Like,
Yeah.
no, nobody wants to do this. Like, nobody,
No.
they're not sadists where they just like to cause misery and pain. Like, they're doing a job because their goal is to protect these kids.
Right. And I will say, man, even getting permission to remove a child for me and my unit anyways, it was not easy.
Yeah.
And there were several times where I thought, man, like I kind of think this kid needs to be removed because
Mm.
if not, like this is a rough situation. But they
Yeah.
always had like alternate plans and things to put in place, safety
Hmm.
plans and all sorts of stuff that could
Right.
help avoid it
Yeah.
before it got to the point of removal. And if it was to the point of removal, they had tried everything else that they could, and there was
Yeah.
no other option.
Right. Yeah.
And I got
Because
no bonuses, so
God, I heard that because I'm trying to get her to admit that, like you did these things. There was five of us, and we were all removed, and you have some fault. She kept blaming it on the whatever guy that she was with or whatever, and it's like, listen, lady, like you screwed up too. And when she told me that it was because the caseworkers got a bonus, I was like, oh my gosh, this woman, it's just crazy. So,
I
yeah,
didn't
so
know
there,
social workers were the highest paid profession.
all right. I mean, I've seen caseworkers that work 60 and 80 hours a week, and they are not getting rich working in the system. That is for
No.
sure.
See, and I even joke and say everyone's worried about teachers' pay. Man, nobody's worried about a social worker's pay, and that's worse than a teacher's
Oh,
pay. So,
absolutely. Yeah, no. I had a job offer with CPS to do investigations, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
yeah.
I was like, I don't think so. I mean, and I mean, I had a hard time just even thinking about it anyway, doing it. But I did the interview and everything, the place I was working, and so, but I ended up not doing it, and not because of the money, because my employer at the time did a few things to make things a little bit better. But yeah, they are not they are not getting rich working for
No,
CPS. I mean, golly,
definitely
and
not.
and like you said, it's not a happy thing when they're pulling these kids. They're not like,
No.
oh yay, I found some kids for these people over here. It's just not that way. I mean, it's a difficult thing to do. I mean, even if you know that it's a horrible place for the kid, it's still, I mean, wrenches your heart to have to pull these kids away, right?
Absolutely. I mean, several times, I had to sit there and try to calm moms down when they're bawling because their kids are leaving them, and
Mhm.
and you have to have a heart. You can't just not care. And
Right.
so you you acknowledge and you see the hurt there, but also you just hope and pray and try to encourage them, like you can do this, you can get them
Yeah.
back. You
Yeah.
just have to put the work in.
Yeah. And let's be honest, the work is not that much work.
No.
I mean, we're going to be honest here. I mean, it's more work to get licensed to foster than it is to get your children back.
Absolutely. The requirements to foster are so much more intense than they are to even do kinship
Yeah.
or to get your own children back
Right.
or to just do family-based services, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, golly, the first time we had our kids, we got foster licensed, and it was like 16 weeks of every week, 2 or 3 hours a night or once a week, because we licensed directly through CPS, and it was like 16 weeks, 2 or 3 hours each one night each week, and work to do on outside of that, and I mean, like I said, locking up the medicine cabinets. And this blew my mind, right? So the boys were almost 1 and almost 3. And we had to make maps of the house for exit plans mounted at their eye level. Right? Well, I mean, he's 3. He doesn't know what this square on the wall with this arrow
Right.
pointing somewhere,
Or
like,
the monthly fire drills with an
right.
infant. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that they are getting this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, golly dang. I mean, and then the paperwork and people, I mean, if you boiled it down to what they're getting paid versus their time, I mean, they're making a nickel an hour. I mean, golly, just go throw newspapers, you make more money.
Right.
I mean, it is not a full-time gig. It's a full life gig.
It
I
truly
mean,
is. And he was, I think, the clinical director at World for Children. He always said, if you don't have time, then you don't have any business doing it because time is the most, time is the thing that you need the most
yeah.
with fostering. And so
Yeah.
if you didn't have the time to do it, then it's okay. Step back
Yeah.
and wait. But
Yeah.
man, it is your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and so, so many families that I know that foster, one of the parents stays home. But I also know a lot that don't. They both work and they're still
Yeah.
fostering, and I mean, golly, they get sick. You got to give them some Motrin. Oh, here's a form, I mean, golly dang. Ah,
Yeah. Got to
it-
write everything
whew,
down.
everything done. Oh, she's got a Band-Aid on because she skinned her knee. We got to fill out a form.
Right.
I mean, golly dang. So,
Sorry.
from a worker side of things, the CPS side, the investigators, the caseworkers, what do you wish people knew about that side of things?
I think I honestly just had this conversation with a friend the other day that whenever a worker comes into your home because there's been an investigation called in, they should not, but normally they do not come in with the idea that you're already guilty. And so a lot of times workers are met with hostility because they think that they're coming in to automatically remove their kids, and that's not the case. And yeah, some workers are not the friendliest, but at the end of the day, their job's to make sure that the kid is safe. And if you are taking care of your kid, there's no reason for you to come at them in a hostile way,
Right.
because at the end of the day, we got to work together
Yeah.
anyways. So
And that goes for the foster parent side or the bio
100%,
family.
100%.
They're not just out to get you. Their
Right.
job
And
is
there are some crappy workers. I'll
Yeah.
I'll just be
Yeah.
honest. There are some workers that they enjoy the power, and but it's the same thing where we talked about, we know all of these wonderful foster families, and there are some bad foster families who are
Sure.
just doing it for the money or whatever. But it's the same way with the workers. There are so many wonderful workers who truly care about the kids.
Yeah.
That
And then everybody gets a bad rap because one caseworker is just,
yeah, absolutely.
or whatever. And so, yeah, having compassion. I think I think foster families could really take some time to reflect on on having compassion for the caseworkers because they're overworked. I mean, this
100%.
the first time we had the boys, it was during the housing market collapse, and so the state was on a hiring freeze. So caseworkers were dropping like flies, and they couldn't replace them, and so they just ended up divvying up the existing cases. So our fourth caseworker, we were her 54th case.
It's unrealistic.
It's impossible. I mean, stop and think about just the fact that you have to visit all of those homes every month.
Absolutely. And the region or the area that I worked in stemmed from Sherman County, so the very top of Texas, almost Oklahoma, New Mexico, and then all the way down to Bovina, Hereford, that area.
Yeah.
It was a humongous area that we were supposed to be working, and there was no telling where a case would come in. And even
Right.
though our supervisor tried really hard to make sure that we were only in one area so it was not as chaotic with driving, you can't control where the cases are coming from. And when
Right.
you have one worker that has 10 cases and another worker that has 4 cases, like you have to spread it out a bit and make
Yeah.
it more even. And so like you're on the road all the time, you are working nonstop to try to get services for families, or you're contacting people to, as like references and collaterals and things like that. And
Yeah.
it is nonstop. There's
Yeah.
not one week that I worked at CPS that I only worked 40 hours.
Right. Never. I mean, and then you can't go home and turn it off.
No. You try to, but
Yeah.
you can't. And there's
No.
not any time for you to go and to just do something for yourself for the most
Right.
part, because,
Yeah.
you could be on call and then you're most likely going to get called for something, or
Yeah.
there's just always something.
Yeah.
There's always something.
Yeah, which is, and then that's why I say it's important for foster families to try. Now, don't get me wrong. You can get upset over things. I
Yes.
mean, what I'm trying to get at is from the foster care parent side of things, to try to have compassion for these workers, because they are trying. I mean, yes, there's always a bad apple,
Right.
but by and large, they are doing the best that they can to keep the kids safe, to monitor, check the parents, check the foster families, make sure that they're doing all of the things that they need to do and stuff like
Yes.
that. And so,
And yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, their frustrations with the system are absolutely valid. And a lot of times that what has happened or what's being said is going to happen doesn't come from that worker. It comes from somebody above them.
Right.
They don't get to make the decisions. They
Yeah.
just have to be the messenger,
right.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's so I think everybody involved should take a step back, take some breaths, and try to have compassion for each other.
Yeah. The
Just
system is just very broken all the way
yeah,
around.
it is, and I don't know how to fix it. I don't know that you can fix it,
I
right?
don't know that you can either.
I mean, honestly and truly, everybody is trying to do the best that they can to protect the kids, make sure that they're safe. And and we live in a fallen world with sin.
Yeah.
And so bad things are going to happen. And we have to have a way to try to keep those kiddos safe, and we do the best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can say honestly, whenever, like I said, we've had kids and I've had my own rough experiences with workers. And so I don't want anybody to think that I do not have a strong understanding of that side of things, because I very much do. There were many times where I was angry and wanted to say a lot of really ugly things to workers, and spent time crying because they didn't get it, and they were
Yeah.
not listening to what was
Yeah.
best for the kid or what was
Right.
going on with the kid.
Yeah.
And that includes ad litem's. I mean, and CASA workers and all of it's not just the St. Francis workers or the CPS workers.
Yeah. You try to get 15 people in a room to decide what color to paint the walls, you're going to
Yeah.
have fights. So when you start bringing in the fact that there are so many different voices in that courtroom speaking loudly, trying to get their will done, and everybody has their own opinion as to what's going to be best for this child, and it's just a broken, hard system. And
Absolutely.
I do think that they're trying to make things better. The state is doing some things through Heart Gallery and through the Phase 2 funding with Heart Gallery, and there are so many different groups that are working towards trying to make things better. But at the end of the day, you've got a broken world, and we're trying to make the best we can out of it.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
just so you're not currently licensed, right? Or are you
We are licensed. We are just inactive right now.
inactive? Okay,
Yes.
because you just had a little one.
I did. Yes. So we have a 4-month-old baby.
Yeah, sweet. How's she doing?
She's good. She's wonderful. I'm like, she's perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
It has been an adventure too. It's funny. I've had a hard time switching over my mom brain from the foster care world and rules to like
right.
where I don't have to ask permission to do
Yeah,
things. And so I find myself all the time being like, am I allowed to do that? And then I realize, oh wait, yes, like I'm her mom, like I can do that. But I will
right.
say too, like back to that secondary trauma,
Mm,
I did not realize that the effects of fostering and having so many kids come and go, that it would affect my journey having a biological child,
right.
because I really struggled for the first several months with like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Mm,
And it took me a long time to be able to say it out loud. But I think it's because so many times we felt like, oh my gosh, like this is our child. Like
mm,
we are going to get to be parents for this child forever. Like we are
mm,
so excited.
mm.
And then something happened to where it didn't
Yeah,
happen. And so
mm,
we were just, heartbroken and
yeah,
devastated by
yeah,
that. And so even though my logical brain knows that this baby is our baby and that this baby is not going anywhere, my crazy brain tells me,
yeah.
that something could happen, she might
Right.
not. And so that has definitely been something that I've had to really work through and
Mm,
kind of process.
yeah. So speak to this myth that I keep talking about on this podcast, where so many people say, you can't love this other child the same as your biological child. Talk to that for a little bit.
I've had so many people ask me in the last 4 months about that exactly.
Hmm.
It's, oh, is it different? How does it feel this time? Expecting for me to say, oh my gosh, like I have never loved anything more in my entire life, and I just,
Yeah,
but in reality, like I have loved other kids as much as I love my baby, as much as
yeah,
I love Willa. It's a different bond and connection because I
yeah,
didn't have to work. I haven't had to work so hard for that bond.
yeah,
But the amount of love that I have for her is just as much love as I had for our little boy and our
yeah.
little girl.
Mm,
And we've talked about this at Bible study a few weeks ago too, and somebody didn't quite understand and tried to tell me that, well, it is different this time because she's yours. And I thought, like, I don't think that you see my heart in this, and I don't think you
yeah,
understand how I feel about this and
yeah,
my intentions and purpose behind fostering.
yeah.
Because I cried on his first day of daycare just as much as I'm going to cry on her first day of daycare.
Right.
It was that has been a tough thing to talk about with people because I don't think that you understand until you've been in these shoes. I don't think that you will understand until you've experienced it for yourself.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. I mean, the point of this podcast a place for coffee, connection, and community, right? Connection with other foster and adoptive families and their stories, and community around oth- listening to somebody share your experiences is powerful. But then also, my hope is that the community will listen in and understand a little bit more what it's like walking this journey. You can honestly say, I love you had 10 kids come and go, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love those 10 kids and I love my daughter. Now, I was talking to this lady that her episode came out a couple weeks ago, and she was saying, you know, my love for them is different. My this kid, I love that they do this and that or whatever, and this kid, is loves cuddling and da 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 da. So the way in which my love may be expressed or this or that is different, but it's not a difference in amount. It's just not.
Right. My mom has told me the same thing because we joke and say that my sister is her favorite and that she loves her more. And she just tells me, no, she's just needier. And she's like, she says, I love you both the same amount. I just love you in different ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's that I just get so I just get so passionate about wanting people to really, really dig in and understand that you just love them. You love them
Absolutely.
whether they're there one night, 5 years, I mean, or the rest of their life. You just love them.
Yes.
And if you're doing this and you're doing it right, then there's no difference, you
And
know.
people see that, I think, for the majority of the time that we've lived here in Stratford, we have been the only foster family here.
Hmm.
And I can't tell you how many people have been able to witness and experience what it's like to do foster care
Yeah.
and break so many of those myths that they hear, like, oh, well, I didn't know that. I've
Yeah.
heard that so many times, and I've had so many, people honest conversations about what foster care would look like for some families here.
Right.
And a close friend of mine, we talked just the other day, and she said, I've had this on my heart, and I said, well, then that means something.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I thought everybody thought that. And I said, girl, no. Girl, no. Not everybody
Nope.
thinks that
No.
way.
Yeah.
That is a calling. It is 100% a calling because
Yeah.
it is not for everybody.
Right. Yeah. No, it's not. I mean, not
No,
everybody can do it. Um,
exactly.
what a lot of people don't know is they think it's either foster or nothing. And
Yes.
so we end up having conversations day in and day out that yes, we need foster homes. The last statistic that I got from the state was that we needed about 100 beds in the 26 counties for kiddos at any given time. And so we do need foster families.
Right.
But if you don't foster, there are 1,000 different ways that you can get involved and help without going and getting licensed.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I have decided, I want to be a part of this world in whatever capacity that looks like for this
Mhm.
season of life. And
Yeah.
so right now we are not fostering, and
Mhm.
that's okay. But
Mhm.
I want to be able to help any way that I can. So if that is through respite care, I
Right.
don't mind to be a respite provider. Right now
Yeah.
I'm on the child welfare board for Sherman County. And
Mhm.
so we our goal is to help families and children in Sherman County. And so that looks like a lot of different things. That looks like buying beds for families. That
Mhm.
looks like paying electricity bills. I
Mhm.
mean, there are so many different avenues just with
Yeah.
this one board
Yeah.
that we're able to contribute to our community and
Mhm.
help in the sense of families and children. And then there's CASA. I mean,
Yeah.
there are so many different ways that a
Mhm.
person could be involved, and
Yep.
it's just because there's not the knowledge of
Right.
that. It has to be put out there. They have
Yeah.
to be told because they don't know.
And so many foster families that I talk to say, well, the community just doesn't care. And in my experience, not everybody, but so many people will say, I didn't know. I
Yes.
didn't know that, bring us an outfit. help deliver a placement package, be part of Amarillo Angels and do a love box, or do respite, or just get set up to babysit for
Yes.
somebody.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 different ways to get involved that don't necessarily involve getting licensed.
Yeah.
And
I
and
can
that's a
say Stratford is a wonderful community that very much was stepped up and was present for us. Our church group, our church
mhm,
family, they brought things to us. They brought us
mhm,
meals. They brought
yeah,
us clothes. They brought
yeah,
us toys whenever we
mhm,
got our little boy. We got a
mhm.
package from you guys.
Yeah, I thought so.
It just kind of through connections. I mean,
Yeah,
there are people that are willing to help. It's just
yeah,
sometimes they just need to be told how to help.
right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just that, and again, that's why we're doing the things that we're doing, to raise the awareness to say, okay, listen, we need foster homes. We absolutely do. But also, there's all these different ways to get involved. And so, I was actually in Stratford 2 Saturdays ago. There's
Oh,
a grandmother, who took in her three granddaughters, and and they had a bunk bed, but they didn't have any mattresses for it. And so I brought them a couple mattresses and some clothes and toys and things like that. So, yeah, there are lots and lots of different ways to get involved that don't necessarily, involve getting licensed. I mean,
yeah.
and the state is really, really pushing for families. One of the caseworkers from St. Francis told me last week that 34% of the kids in the Panhandle that have been placed in a kinship family, which is significant. I mean, that's way up from where it used to be, but it's also, there's at least hopefully some things that are similar, and stuff like that. So I mean, you can, I tell people all the time, like, when at church, when mom gets pregnant, you do a baby shower, and you
Right.
go to the hospital, and you bring them meals for a week, and you do all those things. Well, these foster
Hmm.
families could use the exact same thing, the
Absolutely.
exact same kind of support that you're giving, to these new moms. And so,
It is chaos in those first few days of getting a new place.
right, right.
It is doctor's appointments and daycare or school
Mm,
or getting clothes or, like basic needs. It is
mhm.
chaos. In those
Absolutely.
first few days, somebody bringing a meal is awful helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Sending
You
a
know,
pizza.
yeah, just order some pizza, do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we try to be there within 24 hours, because we know
Yeah.
that those 24 that first couple of days are absolute, just, oh my gosh. I took a placement package one night to this lady. She she was a single mom, and she fostered, and she typically took teenagers. Well, she got a sibling group of three, and they were 22 months, 10 months, and newborn.
Oh gosh.
Right.
Whew.
Well, CPS dropped him off. They had set up an appointment for her to bring the kids to the doctor's office the next morning at 9. And guess what? She had no car seats.
Oh.
Right. How in the world is she going to get these kids to this doctor's appointment? How's she going to get to the store to get the car? I mean, so it's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm bringing her 3 car seats and pajamas for the kids to sleep in and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I mean, it is crazy those first few days. You get into a routine and things, and it gets easier. But yeah, those first few days are just absolute chaos. And that's a big part of the reason why we do the placement package, and why we try to be there so quickly after placement, because we try to make things a little bit easier.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so tell me a little bit more about the Child Welfare Board. What does that do?
So there should I think there's a child welfare board in every county. It
Hmm.
just looks different for everybody. And so for our welfare board, um, we work with we have a CPS representative, and then we have a
Hmm.
St. Francis representative, and we meet like quarterly. And they tell us the needs. So if there's a family that they are working with, whether it's a family who is in the middle of CBS, or a family who's in the middle of an investigation, whatever it is, if there is a need that we can assist with, then we do. So we've provided car seats, we've provided clothing, we've provided bunk beds, we've
Yeah.
provided, extermination services.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
we have truly, we are able to provide so many different things
Hmm.
for families in our community, and sometimes, we're a little bit limited depending on how much they need. But if we can contribute at all to a family to help either prevent them from having to get to the point of removal,
Right.
or sometimes they just need those resources. If we can help them get to where they need to be, then we're happy to do that.
And where do y'all get funding?
We do fundraisers,
Okay.
and so we've done a few different fundraisers in Sherman County, but we also get funds from our county. They gift us some fund, or I don't know if it's a gift technically. I
Right.
can't remember the term for it, but we get funds from the county as well,
Okay.
and so we kind of pull from that.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool. I mean, I've heard people talk about the child welfare boards before. I just never really knew what it was. So
Yeah, they're a great resource. So if you've got, if you know a family in need of, or a foster family or whatever, I mean, if there's a welfare board that you can get a hold of, they are a great resource.
yeah. So let's go back for a second. I know you said you got a placement package. Talk to us about that placement package showing up for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was contacted, I think, by Jennifer, and she had asked me if there was anything specific that I needed. And we figured out that the little one, he would only take Dr. Brown's bottle, like the nipples from Dr. Brown's. He would not take any other type of nipple.
Yeah.
And so I was like, do you have these?
Yeah.
So I sent her a picture, and she, you guys made it happen. And so it helped tremendously, because our town is 2,000 people. We
Yeah.
have a Dollar General that closes at 8 or 9 o'clock, and then we have a grocery store that
Right.
closes at 8 or 9 o'clock, and they're very limited on what they have.
Yeah.
And so, diapers and wipes and clothes, pajamas, bottles, baby toys, things like that. We tried to be prepared for any age of newborn to 5, because that's what we were open for at the time. And so it truly was, I mean, it was so incredibly helpful to get that package, and just luggage, because it came in this big suitcase. And
Yeah.
so it was awesome.
Yeah, that's it. I try to explain to folks, like, the impact of a placement package, right? And the feedback that I get is not, we're not just bringing stuff,
No.
right? It's impactful. It says, hey, we as a community see you, we see that kiddo, and we value you.
Yeah, absolutely. And living so far from, Amarillo, it feels like so far from Amarillo, but
Right.
even still, like, the fact that you guys were so willing to make it happen to get to us so quickly, like, that meant a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Another foster mom talked about how she lives about an hour outside of town. She got some kiddos at like 8 o'clock at night, and they didn't have formula. And there was no way she was going to have to drive to Amarillo to get formula to feed them, you
Yeah.
know. And we showed up with, bottles and formula and things like that. And just, yeah, I mean, delivering. I didn't know this. This puts this in perspective. Did you know that the 26 counties of the Panhandle is the size of West Virginia?
I heard you say that in one of the episodes, and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, that just, it puts it in perspective. Like, we're a state by
Massive.
ourselves,
Yeah,
So
it's
it is not,
massive.
yeah, it is not uncommon for us to have to drive 2 hours one way to deliver a placement package. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, our
you know,
closest Walmart is 30 to 40 minutes away.
yeah, yeah.
So,
It's
I mean,
just
any
crazy.
specialty formula we have to drive to
Yeah.
go and get. So,
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and then it's astronomically expensive.
yes.
And then
Yeah, here at our store, we pay like $8, $9 for a jar of mayonnaise. So, can you imagine?
probably like $80 for one of the small cans or something like
Gets pricey.
golly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's just, and then I don't know exactly, but the state has changed something. I don't know if you know about this, but something they changed about WIC, about that they're only doing one, or there's like two types of formula that they're doing on WIC. Did you know that?
No, I thought you could get a prescription from your doctor for
That
like
may be it.
specialty formula.
I that may be. I know that I was talking to one of the foster moms, and she was complaining because they WIC had told her she could get one of those too, and I think there was a way to get them to do something else. Maybe I can't remember. I just
But it's jumping through hoops.
right. Well, that's everything, right? I mean, there's stuff there for you to use, but it's a pain in the neck to get it. So,
Absolutely. Our WIC office, we don't in Stratford, we don't technically have a WIC office, but they're supposed to come like once a week or something like that. Well, I could never get a hold of them, and I could never get anybody, to give me information. And so we wound up just not using WIC for our placement.
yeah.
And it was similar for daycare because, CMS, you qualify if you work full time. Well,
Right.
we had it initially, and then the summer came and we lost it because I'm a teacher. And so, that's fine. That was no problem. But then getting it back was so much
Right. In the
redoing of
pain
the
in the
same
neck.
thing that we were like, you
Yeah.
know what? If he's about to leave in a couple months, like we will just pay for it. It's
Right.
not a problem because it's so many hoops to jump through.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Man, such good stuff. So if you were talking to somebody that was thinking about fostering, what would you tell them?
Do it. If you're thinking about it, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Truly, I believe that if it comes to your mind, if it's on your heart, don't ignore it. Look into it. Ask questions because you're not going to know until you ask. And there are so many misconceptions about fostering that I think it scares people away. Explaining that you can set an age range and specify, how
Yeah.
many. They're not just going to call you and say, hey, we're on our way with 42 teenagers,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And that is something that they think, well, I can't do teenagers. Okay, well,
Yeah.
don't foster teenagers. Or
Yeah.
I don't like babies. Well, don't foster babies. Like,
Right.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Like you do have a choice in the child that comes to your home. You are not stuck. And so I think that is another thing that is not talked about a lot. And discharging a child is really difficult decision to make, but it is a decision that sometimes you have to make for the safety of yourself, for the safety of other kids in your home.
Yeah.
There are so many reasons that you might have to discharge a kid, and I think that is seemed or seen as so negative that it's
Yeah.
just not talked about.
Yeah.
And so to know that if something goes wrong and something isn't right, then you do have the option to say we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And you're not stuck.
Yeah.
And so if anything, if a family wanted to know, was interested in fostering, get your feet wet, do respite for a family.
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
Babysit, start off with a little bit, go to an orientation. You're not signing your life away if you go to an orientation.
Check it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not going to show up with a baby the next day. I mean,
Yeah. They used to think that we had babies in the back at the World for Children office. So sometimes people would come in and they'd be like, you got any kids back there? No, we do not hoard the children in the back office.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
See, so many misconceptions about foster care. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it is hard, but it is absolutely worth it. I mean,
100%.
these babies, they deserve to be somewhere safe and valued and loved for however long that is.
Yep.
Whether it's
And
a
I
night
do-
or a year or the rest of their lives.
Yep. I can remember working with families that had other kids in their had biological kids, and those were some of the most well-rounded, exceptional kids that I'd ever met because they
Yeah.
had such a different perspective on life. And so people ask, well, what about my other kids?
Right.
It's going to be really hard on them. Well, yeah, it'll be hard on them, but truly I believe that when you open your home to foster a child, you are giving your child an experience that they will never have anywhere else, and you are
Yeah.
opening them up to learn about compassion and grace and love in a
Right.
way that they have not experienced.
Yeah. And not to discount the fact that it's traumatic for them when the kiddos leave too.
Yes, yeah.
My girls, when the boys went back to their biological mom, they grieved. They absolutely
Absolutely.
grieved. These were these two little boys that they had been in our lives since the very beginning, and so my girls just they were, I mean they were so awesome with these two babies, and they just loved them, and it broke their hearts when they went back too, because we knew that it was not a good scenario that they were going back into, and we didn't have any choice in the matter, and so it's hard on them too, but that also builds resilience,
A hundred
right?
percent,
Yeah.
100%,
I
and
mean,
it just helps them realize, it's not all about me. There's more out there. There are more people. Like, we sometimes do what's best for other people, and that's okay.
yeah,
I mean, and even it goes on to extended family. I have two nephews that I'm incredibly close with, and they truly loved the kids that we had,
yeah,
and they were crazy about them, and they also have grieved in their own way.
yeah,
My sister and my mom, my dad, we've all had the experience of having to grieve these kids leaving us. But
hmm,
at the end of the day, I think we all have had such an incredible opportunity to experience what this has been like and
yeah,
and grow from it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Uh, so, um, if you're talking to the community, um, I always ask our foster and adopted families this: if there were, if are there things that were super valuable and great that encouraged and built you up while you were fostering, or things that you wish you would have had as you brought kids in and kept them in the what talk to the community at large and say, hey, this was super impactful and you should do this for somebody, or man, I wish somebody had done that for me.
Sure. Honestly, like I said, Stratford has been an incredible supportive community whenever it came to us getting placements. And our church family, went above and beyond. We have a thrift store in town, and so even though we don't have quick access to a Walmart or to another store, they went and they got some clothes and
Hmm.
shoes and baby items that we might have needed, and they brought them to our house immediately.
Hmm.
I mean, we had people from other teachers that they would drop off strollers and car seats and
Hmm.
baby swings and things like that. I mean, as a community, it takes a village. We say it
Yeah,
takes a village to raise a family. Well,
yeah,
why not extend that to fostering a child? Like, it still takes a village. It's
yeah,
just a little, it just looks a little bit different. And
right,
so I can say that, church families stepping up and taking care of supporting those foster families
mm,
so that they can continue to do the work is huge.
hmm, yeah,
And I think that is going to be the thing that helps continue good foster families, because
yeah,
when you feel supported and you don't feel like you're on your own, and you have people to come and help you have a break or
right,
respite for you, you're
hmm,
going to be able to endure a lot longer.
yeah,
So
yeah. So that support of the community really does impact. The state, the national survey that I looked at said that between half and two-thirds of foster families quit within the first year, and then the number one reason that was stated was the fact that they didn't feel support from their community.
yeah, and I believe that. I can say that
Hmm.
there are several friends that, they thought it was a really cool idea until it came down to it. Especially
Hmm.
whenever I was single. I was single, I could go and do whatever I wanted. Well, that was fine and dandy. And then I got kids
Hmm.
and put them first and
Hmm.
prioritize their needs. And that wasn't convenient for everybody
Right.
else.
Yeah.
And so you lose friends because they don't understand it, and
Yeah.
you don't have a ton of people that understand, unless you surround yourself with other foster families or people who've been in this situation.
Yeah.
And so that's so important, is finding a community that you can get with like-minded people who have
Hmm.
experienced similar things. Like, I know
Yeah.
they used to, I don't know if they still really have it, they had like foster mom coffee night in Amarillo,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
And that was awesome because you could just get together and be with people who get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, and I say this all the time, but we do better in community. It,
Absolutely.
and that's not just foster families, but you know, we do better in whatever it is we're doing if we have some people around us, like-minded people that are around us that support, love, and encourage us. I mean, we just do better. And
Yeah,
so,
we weren't meant to be islands.
no, we were not. We were meant to be together and work together. And you know, one of my taglines is "Let's do this together," right? Because we like you said, it takes a village. It takes everybody working together to provide loving, safe, and stable homes for these kiddos.
Yep, absolutely.
And listen, Shelby, I really appreciate taking your time to just come and talk and share your experiences. You know, some tough ones, but some good ones, and I really appreciate your openness and your unique perspective on having been kind of on all sides of the equation.
Yeah, I was so excited whenever I, was asked and had the opportunity. So I'm glad that I could do it. Thanks for letting me come do this with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And one more time, thank you to Falcon Ridge IT for their support of us as an organization. And then check them out. And if you need some IT support, they're great folks. Thanks, and we'll catch you next week.